Welcome to Miss Julie's Montessori Minutes. I'm Miss Julie here in my Montessori toddler classroom. If Chantal over at Raising Littles sent you my way, a special welcome to you. And if you haven't visited Raising Littles yet, you'll want to scoot on over there after this video so you don't miss out on that awesome content she's putting out. Today's video is a little different for me. I usually speak about the toddler set, but I know some toddler parents also have babies on the way. And this is a topic that I really am passionate about. What do babies really need? Well, the short answer is nothing but you and what you can give them. I mean, very, very little. And in this video, I'm going to focus on one gift you can really give your newborn, and that is the gift of the freedom of movement. And then review a few contraptions that are marketed towards expectant parents that your child absolutely doesn't need and that could even be detrimental to their development. From the moment of birth, human babies are in the sensitive period of movement. And if you're not familiar with that term, a sensitive period is what Montessori called a light shining on a particular aspect of development, and the child inner teacher is just driving the child to work on that. So they're born working on movement, which they'll need in order to navigate this world, right? And the only thing really the parent needs to provide for the child, especially for gross motor movement, is just an open, safe place for them to move around. And that is definitely cheap or free. A clean sheet on the floor, which is what I use, gives your child a safe space to roll around and to crawl around. Now, if you need a little more padding for your situation, you can get movement mats or nap mats and put cover on those. So just giving that baby an opportunity to move their bodies in all those ways that they are hardwired, that they're driven to do, driven to move. So giving your child an area to move is pretty simple and pretty affordable. What's expensive and what truly interferes with your child to develop coordinated movement through freedom of movement are all the contraptions that, at least in America, comment below if it's different where you live. All these contraptions and gizmos are still being marketed to children, even though research shows that children need to move their muscles, need to move around. From the moment they are born, they need that freedom of movement to develop coordinated movement. And yet we're being sold Johnny jump ups still, which those are just downright dangerous. Exersaucers, which maybe I need to do a confession video, but my third born did have an exersaucer, which I really do regret. And there's probably items I don't even know about that are being marketed to you to contain your child. And I'm not speaking here to those of you who live in truly dangerous situations where you might have to put your child in a playpen, or they might have access to asbestos or lead paint. We can only educate and develop children that are alive, right? This is for those of us who have options to create yes spaces, safe spaces for our children to move about. The main reason not to put your child in a Johnny jump up, swing, exerciser, crib, yes, I said crib, and other containers designed to keep your child in one spot is simply because anytime they're in that container, they're not having the full experience of being able to move their body where they like through space. The more time they have in that container, the less time they have to exercise and develop their gross motor and their fine motor skills. The second reason, especially with exersaucers or swings or Johnny jump ups, is that the child has no control of how their body is being moved through space. Now, like an exersaucer, they'll learn to propel a little bit and spin, but they can't really control how much they spin. And what the child needs most from us is feedback about how their body relates to space and relates to other mechanisms. And when the reaction of their movements is random and moves them through space in a way they can't precisely start or stop, is unfair to the child for developing their body schema and developing an understanding of how the world works. Because a Johnny jump up, an exersaucer, a swing can't be understood by a baby. Another problem, especially with items that move and bounce a lot, they're getting a great amount of stimulation of the vestibular system in a way that's very rapid and unpredictable and not connecting to the loving arms of a parent rocking the child, and it can create an addiction to that stimulus. They can start to really crave it and seek it, and that's why people say things like, well, he's only happy if he's in the exersaucer, or she's only happy if she's in the swing. It's because they become addicted to that movement, so to speak, and they crave it and need it and are dependent on it. Another problem is many of these contraptions are actually dangerous. Just do a Google search for how many items are recalled every year, and you don't want to be the one having one of these contraptions, swings, walkers, Johnny jump ups, etc., that haven't been recalled yet and yet are dangerous. It's much easier, simpler, cheaper, just to make the space that the child dwells in safe for exploration. Another problem is that adults can become dependent on it because they seem to enjoy it and it's easy and it keeps them occupied, maybe because they're addicted or maybe because they become complacent to just be in the container a lot of the time. And so their caregivers can become dependent on them. It's just easy to do that and easier to put them in a contained space and keep an eye on them or to try to figure out what needs we're not meeting. And when the caregivers become dependent on those contraptions, it also sends the child the message that this is normal, this is what life is like. Life is you staying here. And some children will fight for their freedom of movement to get out, and others will just become kind of docile and complacent, like, oh, this is where I belong stuck in this contraption. And there are real dangers with many of these contraptions, not just because part of it could break and there could be a recall problem. It creates bad posture. A lot of them are designed so the child is leaning forward like this, or on their tippy toes a lot, and their feet not touching any kind of firm surface on them, so they get the tippy toe walk. It can really affect the pelvis alignment because the legs are spread so wide apart, wider than they are in a normal stance when a baby is sitting or when a toddler is walking. And any kind of contraption that is giving unnatural core support to a child and not letting them actually develop that core strength is really dangerous to the development of that very necessary strong core. Another danger is the flat head problem, and that was becoming quite a bit of a trouble many years ago, and we were seeing, pretty frequently babies having to wear helmets to reshape their head. And there are a lot of factors, but one factor is laying in a little baby seat or a car seat, allowing the head to become flat, to mold like that, because they didn't have the freedom to roll over, the freedom to turn. Now, these containers and contraptions, because they deny freedom of movement, really does adversely affect a child's physical development. So I invite you to do your own research on that. Now, I mentioned earlier that I put crib in the same categories as these other containers and contraptions, in that they can be dangerous because children crawl and fall out of them. Cribs get recalled. Now, my friend Chantal over at Raising Littles is releasing a video today on how she decided to use a floor bed with her daughter right from the start. Check out the link in the description and check out that video as well. All right, and here are some more of my videos you might enjoy, and I hope to see you in the comments.